Good morning, everybody. Dave Schmidt, along with producer Joe Dredge. Matt Nestor has the day off. We're going to get right into this now. A week ago Thursday, there were some issues at a Beloit Memorial Elkhorn girls soccer game. And with us right now, we have a very special guest, the superintendent of Elkhorn Area School District, Jason Tadlock. And before I even ask Jason a question, I want to thank him so much. When I wrote to him and asked him for input and things like that, very kind to get back to us and let us know and give us statements. And I really did appreciate that, Jason, and thanks for being on today.
You're welcome, Dave.
You know, let's look at this whole process. You know, superintendents of schools have about 500 things they need to do in a day, and then a situation like this that comes up. Is it one of those things that you're prepared for, or did you have a game plan when you got into it? It sure seemed like you were in control the whole time as the Elkhorn administrator.
We do have a couple of years ago, Dave, when I came to Elkhorn, we went through a process and working with a gentleman named David Voss, who specializes in communication and media relations, and we went through a process to identify our communication protocols and how to respond to incidents, events, and media requests. And so we do have a laid out plan and how to handle these situations so that we can be responsive, so that we can be on the same page, so that we can get accurate and information to the media as soon as possible.
And it seemed to work real good for you guys. I mean, you were, spot on, got stuff back and made sure that everybody, I know I read other media sources, you were always contacting them and letting them know. That's kind of a key to it, isn't it? To making this situation as professional as you can?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I appreciate your assessment of it. It seemed to go. I guess from our perspective, it was a little frustrating that we felt that we were very communicative and responsive and tried to get back to people as quickly as possible. But it's interesting how fast the media cycle goes and how many media outlets didn't even bother to contact us and would run with stories and inflammatory language. I mean, I saw one story from the New York Daily News, never contacted us, never sent any input, and they were describing the incident as though the entire student section was chanting from the rafters these, awful things that we know after the investigation took place, but was limited to a handful of students and was never chanted loud enough for the other, sidelines or across the field to hear, or the officials to stop the game or anything like that. So while we did respond to everybody, and, I probably spent the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday doing nothing but returning phone calls and emails, it was surprising how many outlets out there across the country that, didn't even bother to check in and just ran with parts or segments of the story that I guess fit their needs.
Well, that's unfortunate because I know how that works too. I've been on both sides of that one. When you look at it, can you tell us some of the things that have resulted at Elkhorn because of this situation? I mean, it's, I've been talking to you and I know that you were looking at it and some processes that you're going through. Can you give us a little idea of what the outcome has been at Elkhorn with all this?
As in regards to what we're doing to move forward, and from very early on, we partnered with the Beloit Memorial School District to work on the investigation, and that's something that I've seen out there in social media, or a couple questions from emails. Well, why didn't you come and talk to Beloit students? Because that's something, schools don't talk to other schools' students. The other schools' administration talks to their students. They get us the information, and we are very communicative back and forth. We appreciate Beloit working with us on that so that we could get to the bottom of what took place. So that was the first step, identifying what exactly happened, so that we could address it with the students responsible and take actions moving forward. We've never had incidents in our girls' soccer games before, so I think one of the identifications that we made as a hole in our procedures is, typically we just have one supervisor for that event, and at a certain point that person takes the cash box in. The game was going fine. All student behavior was great. So, this behavior occurred while our athletic director, who's the event supervisor of that game, took the cash box in. So we identified holes in our supervision procedures, so we're We've corrected that. We're going to make sure that we have double supervisors at each event in case somebody gets pulled aside so that somebody else is there to address it. We've addressed the concern with our student body, and to be honest, I think our student body seeing this in the media and seeing how it was portrayed definitely learned a valuable lesson that they have to be, very careful and very vigilant, not just of themselves but of their other peers, because just the comments of a few can really damage a school and a community's reputation and be spread all throughout. So that's something that our student body definitely doesn't want, in our community as well. So we've had conversations along those lines. We're also partnering with Beloit and sending a group of our student leadership team over to Beloit, and they're going to have a group of their student leadership team, and then a group from Whitewater that's led by Pilar Malero is coming down to facilitate a workshop and activities with the students on, to help facilitate a better understanding and how they can proceed to help be leaders within their buildings moving forward, so that we don't have incidents like this in the future, and so that people are more culturally sensitive. We also have and have been working on for the past 2 years implementing a very comprehensive bullying, harassment, and culture school climate program. It's called OLVEUS. If any of the listeners want to look at it, it's spelled OLWEUS. And that we've been working on having all of our, getting our staff trained on that, and the building leaders, and then also having the building site teams. And that program will be rolled out and implemented with students at the beginning of August next year. Again, this has been in the works for a couple of years. And then I've also asked Dr. Malero from Whitewater if we could partner and work with her group and weave in some more of the cultural sensitivity aspects right into the OLVEUS program itself.
We're talking with Jason Tadlock, the superintendent of Elkhorn Area School District. So, I think I've seen both sides try to work this into an educational process and learn, and sometimes we tend not to want to talk about racism, but I think everybody's learning a lot about certain situations and how to handle it. So basically we're turning lemons into lemonade, do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I think it's been an opportunity to learn from it and move forward, and as best we can do that, exactly that.
Communication's the biggest part, isn't it? I mean, sometimes people don't communicate on an issue like this after something happens and people aren't comfortable with it, but the communication part has really been a key for both sides, I think.
Yeah, I think communication is critical. I think, if you have individuals who are in the wrong or things that have happened that aren't right, the best thing you can do is identify that, address it, and move forward from there.
And when I got the final comment back from the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association, they were pretty happy that you two guys were in communications, and I don't hear too many state associations say, well, we're going to let those two take care of it. That has to be a good indication that things were being worked out and that there's some positives coming from all this.
Yeah, I would hope so. I think the WIAA, obviously it's a member organization, and, I know they always want they know that the schools are those who are best suited to step in and address the matter with their students, and I think they also know that, no school around the state wants or accepts any sort of behavior, that would be racially biased or discriminatory or hurtful. I mean, nobody wants that. And they realized that, and I think they saw that, on both sides were willing to work on that and get the matter addressed.
And us parents and adults sometimes carry a little bit of the blame, especially with our presidential stuff going on, with some of the name, not racism, but the name calling and how we do certain things. I mean, we can all take responsibility for our own kids sometimes too, can't we?
Well, I think that's absolutely true. In that regard, I think it's important to have those conversations, because what was clear to us from this incident, we went through the JV game and the bulk of the varsity game without any issues whatsoever, and then what was clear, or the really hurtful components or pieces that were said were done by really young students who, it's not to excuse their behavior or what took place, but they obviously don't have the judgment or the processing ability, and we're probably repeating and saying what they've seen blasted all over the media. So it's not to excuse it, but it's certainly something that I think we as parents need to have conversations with our students about. And even if you have political feelings or leanings a certain way, I'm not making a judgment call on that, but having conversations with students about when an appropriate time to discuss that or communicate those should definitely be taking place. And, I think that's a good point, Dave.
Jason, thanks so much for taking time. I've appreciated all the input, and it sounds like you guys are really striving both sides to make this into something that maybe can benefit some people down the road. And just thanks for taking time early Saturday morning for us.
Not a problem. I'm going to head out and get to, ironically, my little daughter's soccer game. So have a great day, Dave.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much again. We've been talking with Jason Tadlock, the principal or the superintendent at Elkhorn Area School District. Some really good insight from him. We're going to take a time out here on the State Line Sports Hour. We'll wrap it up in just a moment right here on News Talk 1440 WROK.
Have you read